Segment 3 of our 100th show ever is upon us. You are listening to Blue Collar Sports. If you're tuning in through Radio FX, we welcome you guys. If you're watching us on live here, or if you watch us tonight or whatever through our Twitter, we appreciate it. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, lots of ways you can reach out to us. Let us know your opinions. If you want to be on the show. It's been a great show so far. It's number 100.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic show. We're trying to make this one the best one ever for you guys. It's Valentine's Day, so it's a great day for everyone out there. And hopefully you guys love Blue Collar Sports, because we're going to keep it going right now with some more personal questions and some of our favorite stuff. Last time it was fantastic, relating shows and movies to sports, and I thought we had some really good similarities there, so I really like that segment. And now it's going to be another great segment right here.
Let's kick it off. This one's a game personal again, but with our favorite sports franchises. Obviously, if you guys have watched the show before, if you know us, you know our favorite teams, our favorite players, that's for sure. But this is our favorite franchises as a whole, and this, for me, was kind of a tough list to make. There's a couple that I knew for sure, but going past that, it was a little tough, and we got 5 of them right here, and that's what we're going to go into right now.
Yeah, you're right. It was a little tough making this list. I think a little tougher than when we made our 5 favorite athletes. We did that before, so it was a little different, but so let's kick it off right now. I got to say, I am more of a player guy than a team itself. I do root for players instead of teams. I like player mobility and movement. That's why I've always followed LeBron. He's gone to many different teams. And so he's very loyal to the team he's playing for, absolutely. So he's playing for the Lakers right now, and that's what he's loyal to. Obviously, I don't know what your list looks like. You don't know what mine looks like, but I'm pretty sure the Boise State Broncos would be the number 1 team.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what brought us together. Both work for the team. So this is just professional teams.
Right.
I'm guessing you have all professional teams. So we do not have any college teams in here. But big shout out to Boise State football and Boise State in general. So we had to throw that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be our favorite team for sure. But I'll kick it off right here with my number 5 team and my only baseball team in my top list here. And, I've kind of gone back and forth in baseball. I like the Phillies with the Chase Utley and Ryan Howard team. That was one of my favorites. I did like the Dodgers with Manny Ramirez when he was there. And so now I kind of came back full circle. And now I'm a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. That's my team for baseball. I like what they've been doing. Magic Johnson took over that team, and ever since then they've taken off. So I like what the Dodgers are doing. I'm liking all the LA area teams, and I'm going to have a little bit more on that in a little bit too. But the Dodgers, I think, are my baseball team right now. 2 straight World Series. Unfortunately, could not get the job done. But they will be back, I know it, better than ever. And they got money to spend now, and they're going to go out and get some players, and they're going to be a good team for a long time.
You talked about, so that's your only baseball team.
That is my only baseball team.
I do have 2 baseball teams. My number 5 team, though, is not a baseball team. It's the Seattle Seahawks.
Interesting.
I got 4 out of my 5 teams right here. I got written down are from the Northwest. Grew up here in Boise. I love Northwest teams, and I love small market teams.
I like big market.
I know you like big markets. It's just one of the many disagreements.
4 of my 5 are big markets, I'd say.
45. I'm trying to think you're a small one. But
You'll see.
We'll get to that. But 4 out of 5 of mine are small markets for sure. And the Seahawks, what I really like about the Seahawks is their fan base. I mean, I'm going to talk about another Seattle team at the end of this segment, that's for sure. But the Seattle Seahawks, home of the 12th man, one of the most passionate fan bases. The Sonics should have never moved, that is for sure. If the Sonics were still there, they'd be in this list without a doubt. But the first Super Bowl I really remember getting into, I talked about it, I think, last week a little bit, but it was the Seahawks-Steelers Super Bowl with Shaun Alexander, Matt Hasselbeck. Not the most exciting Super Bowl, but the Seahawks have kind of had a tough-minded, defensive-minded approach. Then bringing Pete Carroll in there, I was not a huge fan of Pete Carroll at USC, but I love him in the NFL. I love him. Just watched the Trojan War documentary. That's a great one, but love what he's brought to Seattle, and especially this past year, I really started falling in love with the Seahawks because they lost basically everything on that Super Bowl team. They won a Super Bowl, was that 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
And lost their entire defense. They stayed strong. They stayed committed. I have the Seahawks as my number 5 team.
That's a really good pick. I like what they do. I'm definitely a more Pete Carroll fan than you are, I'd say. I do like those USC teams. Like I said, I like the big markets. USC was a big market back in the day. Don't get back in there. I'm not worried. But very good pick there. My number 4 team, I stay with the big market, and I stay with Los Angeles. And that is the Los Angeles Rams. They are my 4th team right now. My 2nd NFL team, I'll have another one later. But the Los Angeles Rams now are in my top 5 of favorite sports franchises.
When they were in St. Louis?
And when they were in St. Louis, absolutely not in my top 5. Things change, okay? Like I said, I'm more of a player and a person fan, and what Sean McVay's brought to the Rams, I'm a huge fan of. And so I follow that more than teams itself. And so I like what the Rams have been doing. Obviously, the big market here. They're building their new stadium. I think they're ahead of schedule. They just made it to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, obviously, but they'll be back for sure with Sean McVay in charge. So I like what they're doing. I like how they run this franchise. It's different than any other NFL team. They're going out spending money right now for one-year deals. They're trying to go for it every single year, and that's what the Rams are doing. So I like what they bring to the NFL, and they're my fourth team right now, and another Los Angeles team.
I'm guessing it's not the last Los Angeles team. That'd be my guess. And I talked about, for mine, to kick mine off, I talked about small markets. And my number 4 team, kind of bittersweet about this one, but they are the epitome of small markets. That is the Oakland Athletics. So why I'm kind of bittersweet, obviously they're in the same division as the Seattle Mariners, which I'll play more on in a little bit. And they beat out the Mariners to get the wild card spot this year. But what makes the A's so special to me is, if you guys haven't seen the movie Moneyball, I've talked about it a couple times on this show. It is awesome how a team could build a system, such a successful system around such limited money compared to everyone else. Baseball is kind of one of those weird sports where there's no salary cap. So like you said, the Dodgers you just talked about, the Yankees, these billion-dollar teams could spend basically as much money as they want to. A's don't have that money. They've never had that money, yet they find a way to get to the playoffs almost year in, year out. Obviously, the Moneyball is ways back when they have the record for the most consecutive wins. This last year was basically round 2 of that. And so I think that's really, really cool the way the A's built a system. And I mean, they build these guys up through their farm system. These guys have breakout years, and then they go get big deals somewhere else. But they're able to adjust to that and just build from within. And I think that's awesome. That's why I love the A's, and I love the way they run things.
Yeah, I absolutely like that pick there. Really respect how they run that franchise, how they do things on the field and off the field. So it's a fantastic pick. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the stadium situation. If they stay in Oakland, there's been rumors that they could leave or something like that.
That stadium could force 2 teams out.
We absolutely could see something weird happen. So we'll see what happens there. But the A's, I think they are Oakland. They should definitely stay there. So I think that'll be a very interesting story to follow. Of course, my number 3 team, again, staying with the big market, staying with the city of Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Lakers are my number 3 team.
Los Angeles
another Los Angeles right here. That's because of one man. That's how much power he has, LeBron James. Lakers, I'd say, probably not they'd be close to my top 5. I was a big Shaquille O'Neal fan.
Yeah.
The Lakers were my team when Shaq was there. The Heat were actually my team when Shaq was there, too. And then the Heat, obviously, were my team when LeBron was there. And now LeBron's with the Lakers, so they're my team now. So where LeBron's at, I'm at. And the Lakers, they're another big market. I like Magic Johnson a lot. Probably my favorite retired basketball player that I never really got to watch.
Right.
If there'd be one basketball player I could watch, it'd be Michael and Magic, I think. And so I do like how the Lakers do things. They're obviously at the top of the NBA with the Celtics and the Bulls and top franchises, I'd say, how they get things run. And I just like how they bring Showtime to a sport. They obviously work hard and play basketball, but they make it a show with the Laker girls and everything, that stadium. The movie stars that sit sideline. So I really like that. That's what the Rams are doing now. That's what the Dodgers are doing. It's just total LA, and that's why I have 3 Los Angeles teams in my top 5.
Yeah, LA, they're starting to really boom in the sports world, but their teams are still kind of struggling. Lakers, Clippers, football, Rams got to the Super Bowl.
They'll be just fine. And I have to say this too. People bash on the Los Angeles fans that they're not too passionate, and that's 100% true. I'd say that, but we like players. We like mobility. Nobody living in Los Angeles is probably from Los Angeles. Only probably 10% of people in LA are from LA. So people come to LA because they want that style, and that's what all these players do to come to these teams. So don't bash LA fans. That's what they are.
My number 3 team is my only big market team on this list. That is the New York Jets. Gang Green, always been a big Jets fan. I loved Curtis Martin, still one of my favorite all-time football players. And I'm not really a running back guy, but Curtis Martin, really when I was a kid, for some reason I was really attached to him. And then Darrelle Revis, Jamal Adams, now they're defensive players have always struggling with me. But I really don't know what brought me to Jets other than Curtis Martin. For some reason, I just really, really enjoy Broadway Joe. He's still there.
Joe.
He's everywhere. He won the only Super Bowl the Jets have ever won way back in the day.
Yep.
Again, I've never really seen any of my teams win much.
Nope.
But I've always been a big Jets fan. The 2 years they made to AFC Championship were awesome because that showed defensive football, and that's what I've always really, really liked. Exciting defense. Super Bowl is not exciting defense. We've talked about that.
Great Super Bowl.
But it was great defense. But that's why what attracts me to the Jets. Ready for them to flip the page a little bit and turn the corner. I know you're a big Sam Darnold guy.
Yep.
He showed me flashes, but maybe this is the year.
Hopefully they turn a page for your teams. I know your teams don't win a lot, but my teams sure do. Some of them, honestly, actually.
Lakers don't.
They will soon. Don't worry. I'm not worried because they will. My number 2 team is my second NBA team, and that is my only small market team. That's the Portland Trail Blazers.
Okay, that's a good one.
And so, I don't know. It's a different one for me. I went to a Trailblazer game a few years ago when I was looking for college, looking for schools to go to. And I went to a Portland game, and I just fell in love right there. Great place to watch a basketball game. Damian Lillard really won me over, so a big fan of him. And ever since then, I've been a Trailblazer fan. I wish them success every single season, and I like it when they are good. And so the Trailblazers are definitely my number 2 team right now. I like how they run things. They're very local. They know their small market, but they embrace that. They're not going to go out and get these big-time free agents like the Lakers do, but they bring in their draft picks and they make it work. And so they're not the most talented team right now, but they get into the playoffs. Sometimes they don't have the success that they should, but they're still a quality team, and they're going to be one of the good teams that I hope can turn a page to being one of the more dominant franchises in the league.
You know, I love that pick. I mean, I'm not going to say I grew up in Portland. I moved when I was very young, but I was born in Portland. And I actually just went to my first Blazer game over Christmas break just a couple weeks ago. They played the 76ers and beat them by like 30-something. It was a blowout. But that was my first game ever in Portland. That is a cool stadium, passionate fan base. That's
very
for sure.
Passionate.
I mean, you look at Portland; they don't have an NFL team, they don't have an NBA or MLB team, so they're all around the Blazers.
Yep.
And great showing from them last night. So that's a great pick.
Yep.
I like that one. My number 2 team is an NBA franchise, kind of very, very similar to Portland Blazers. That is the Utah Jazz. I talked about them, compared them to The Office, which is, of course, my favorite TV show, last segment. But the Utah Jazz, a lot like the Portland Trail Blazers, Salt Lake doesn't have, they have an MLS team, but they don't have an MLB or an NFL team, so they are built around the Utah Jazz. We've been to 2 Jazz games in the last
Playoffs.
2 years. Went to the playoff game against the Clippers 2 years ago and won against the Thunder last year, and I'm sure we'll be back this year. But like I talked about there, they bring in a bunch of guys that didn't work in big markets, a bunch of guys that didn't work somewhere else in the league, and they make it work. And I love what Quinn Snyder's done there. Jerry Sloan was awesome in Utah. They've really been competitive since I can remember. I mean, as a kid, the Darren Williams teams were really good way back then. You got John Stockton, the Karl Malone days. If they didn't run into the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan, they would have won 2 championships. But they've always been competitive, still looking for that first championship. But what I love about them is their fan base and their ability to find guys that aren't necessarily big names because they're small market status. And that's what makes them special. That's why I got them in my number 2 team.
That's a fantastic pick there. Definitely similar to my Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Utah Jazz for sure. Going to those 2 teams, they got a passionate fan base just like Trailblazers, and those games are always so much fun. The playoffs are. So we're definitely going to make another blue collar sports trip to a Utah Jazz playoff game. This time they will be playing the Los Angeles Lakers in the playoff. And that's correct. That is how it all started. That's how blue collar sports was born. Making it our way to our first playoff game in Utah. So very good pick there. Now we move on to our number 1 favorite franchises in sports. And number 1 for me is the Dallas Cowboys. America's team. It is
a lot of people are not going to be happy to hear that.
It is the best team in the NFL. They're just like the Lakers and the Rams and the Dodgers. They like to show. That's Jerry Jones right there. He wants people to notice him. He wants people to watch the star, see the star on the sidelines. But even more than that, I've always been a fan before I even got into that. I have a Troy Aikman helmet actually since I've been a kid. One of the earliest pictures I can remember is a little picture of me wearing a helmet with a Cowboys football. And so ever since then, I always see that photo and think that I'm a Cowboys fan. So I am a Cowboys fan, and I grew up liking those teams. Tony Romo was the man. He still is the man, playing golf, winning in the broadcast booth with CBS. So seeing the Cowboys' success is fantastic. And finally going to a Cowboys game actually during this past Christmas break was fantastic. It's just seeing Jerry's World was amazing. But I like how the Cowboys run things. It's all about the flash and the personality, and I like how Jerry Jones does things there in Dallas. So the Cowboys are my favorite franchise, and they're going to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've never been a big market guy. I talked about that, and I've never been a Cowboy fan. That's for sure. But I will say we did go to a Cowboys game a couple days before Christmas over Christmas break, and seeing that stadium and seeing that atmosphere,
Something
it
different.
is hard not to enjoy. That is something I'll never forget. And I know you're a big Cowboys fan, so that was
Dream
cool
come
to
true.
see. My number one team, and if you guys know me, if you've talked to me, I'm sure you get annoyed of talking about this, but that is the
I sure do.
Seattle Mariners. Die-hard Mariners fan till the day I die. Want to see them in the playoffs. Last time they were in the playoffs, I was 4 years old, right around there. So still really have yet to experience that, and I say it every year. This is their year, and this year is definitely not their year. I will say that. But you never know in baseball. I talked about the A's. They build from within, and that's what I think the Mariners GM, Jerry DiPuto, my favorite GM that's ever been in charge of the Mariners since I've really paid attention to them. And he's not quick to make accusations, just like Billy Beane. He knows it's a business. And he took the approach this year of building from within, traded all their big names, traded everybody, and they're starting with their farm system. So I'm actually very, very excited for this upcoming season. I don't expect them to contend. I expect them to win it every year, but this year I don't necessarily expect them to contend. But I'm really excited to see how their pieces play out, how some of these young guys play. But I will be a diehard Seattle fan forever. Safeco Field is my favorite place in the world. I can't wait to go catch a game, and can't wait to see him play this year. We're getting close.
Yeah, that's absolutely your favorite team. You talk about them pretty much every day. So there's no chance they go 162-0 this year?
Maybe 161-1.
Ooh,
They'll get
that's
upset
rough.
somewhere, but they could go undefeated. I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I think they're definitely building the team to do that. But that is our 5 favorite franchises, 2 very different lists. You're more small market, I'm more big market. As you can tell probably from our show listening to us, that's our personalities. That's what we like on these in the sports world, and that's what we bring. So that's really good stuff, and I'm not surprised by your list at all.
Yeah, I figured it'd be small market, big market, so it leads to a lot of arguments. But those are kind of the way we see sports. That wraps up hour number 1 of our 100th show, and we're going to get outside of sports to start off the next hour. It's going to be a lot more like this, a lot of personal stuff, a lot of get-to-know stuff. I'm excited for hour number 2. Hour 1's been great.
We'll be right back.